Welcome, dear listeners, to a journey into the timeless world of myth. Tonight, we explore a tale born in the heart of Olympus. This is the story of Athena, goddess of wisdom, courage, and craft. Her birth is unlike any other, filled with wonder and radiant mystery. In every age, people have told this story to seek meaning and light. It is a story not of battle or blood, but of brilliance and harmony. Close your eyes, if you wish, and imagine the skies above ancient Greece. The gods watch from their shining thrones. The earth whispers below. Stars glimmer, seas rest, and mountains stand still in quiet awe. A great moment is coming, one that will change heaven and earth. Zeus, king of the gods, feels a spark stirring deep within his being. This spark is no storm or thunder, but a vision of wisdom to come. The air on Olympus hums with energy, gentle yet powerful. Something extraordinary prepares to unfold before the eyes of gods. The world holds its breath, waiting for a birth unlike any before. The birth of Athena, child of light, balance, and endless knowledge. Stay with me, and let us step together into this ancient wonder. In the beginning, before Athena's light touched the world, the heavens were vast and full of mystery. The earth stretched wide, oceans shimmered, and mountains reached high into the clouds of eternity. Gods and mortals lived side by side, though their worlds were divided by power and by fate. Mount Olympus stood above all, a shining realm where the gods gathered in endless splendor. From this sacred mountain, the divine ruled with wisdom, strength, and the might of immortal will. At the center of Olympus was Zeus, the king of gods, who carried thunder in his hand. His presence commanded respect, yet his heart sought harmony beyond storms and endless authority. Zeus desired not only power, but a balance that could guide both gods and mortals alike. In his mind, a vision grew of something greater, something brighter than force or fear. Mortals prayed daily for blessings, for guidance, for wisdom to light the path of their lives. They looked upward, hoping the gods might grant them more than thunder and fire from the sky. Among the gods, there was talk of change, whispers that the age of pure might would shift. Some felt the world longed for a voice of reason, not only a hand of command. Others wondered if the stars themselves foretold a birth of something new and extraordinary. The skies glittered each night with omens, subtle signs too delicate for most to understand. But the wise could feel it. The air held a secret, waiting to be unveiled in time. Even the rivers seemed calmer, as though listening for a song not yet sung in creation. The forests whispered softly, their leaves trembling with stories that had not yet been told. And mortals dreamt of a presence, a figure draped in wisdom, a guide yet to come. In the heart of Olympus, Zeus himself sensed these signs, though he kept them unspoken. He walked the golden halls of the gods, his gaze distant, his thoughts carried far away. Lightning no longer felt like his truest gift. Something deeper was stirring in his soul. At times, he would pause on Olympus's edge, watching the earth below in thoughtful silence. He saw mortals build, struggle, love, and search for meaning in every corner of their lives. He realized their greatest need was not protection alone, but clarity to see their own way. Wisdom was missing, and without it, both gods and mortals might wander in endless circles. Zeus pondered whether the answer lay not in storms, but in a new kind of light, one that could shine without burning, guide without commanding, and inspire without forcing fear. The gods around him noticed his quiet moods, yet none dared question their mighty king. They too felt the anticipation, as though Olympus itself was preparing for a grand revelation. Clouds gathered not in anger, but in wonder, carrying silver edges of unspoken promise. The sun rose brighter each dawn, bathing the heavens in a glow gentler than before. Even the stars lingered longer at night, as though eager to witness what was to come. This was the world before Athena, a world on the edge of transformation and awakening. Every element of nature, every divine heart, waited for the moment when wisdom would appear. And in that waiting, a silence deeper than thunder filled both earth and sky together. For something beyond power, beyond strength, beyond even the will of Zeus, was preparing to arrive. The story of Athena begins here, in a world longing for balance and a guiding light. It begins with a question whispered across heavens and earth. What is true wisdom? The answer was waiting, hidden in the heart of destiny, ready to be born into being. Zeus, the mighty ruler of Olympus, stood as the heart of divine power and the keeper of sacred order. He was known for his thunder, for storms that shook the heavens, and for light that split the skies apart. Yet beyond his power, Zeus was a figure of thought, a being who carried visions larger than storms. The other gods respected him not only for strength, but for the weight of wisdom in his eyes. From his throne of gold and cloud, he ruled with a presence that none dared to challenge or deny. But even a king among gods carried questions that lingered like echoes in his immortal mind. For Zeus knew that authority alone was not enough to shape the future of gods and mortals. He saw that mortals prayed not only for rain or harvest, but for guidance, fairness, and truth. Their hopes rose like smoke from their fires, reaching the sky with whispers carried by the wind. And Zeus, though great, wondered if his thunder could ever answer those subtle human prayers. He pondered whether strength alone could lead souls, or if another gift was yet to be given. At night, while Olympus slept, he would gaze upon the stars with a heart heavy and quiet. He remembered the prophecies spoken in shadow of a child who would change the order of things. Not a child of rage or storm, but of reason, harmony, and unshakable wisdom. This thought lingered, a seed in his spirit, growing brighter with each passing day of silence. The gods around him sensed it too, though few dared to speak what stirred in their hearts. Hera, proud and regal, watched him with questions unspoken, her gaze sharp yet searching. Poseidon felt the shift like tides changing, his seas restless with waves of anticipation. Even Apollo, the radiant god of light, noted the way Zeus carried a glow beyond thunder. And still Zeus remained silent, his thoughts turned inward, listening for a truth not yet revealed. For Zeus knew that creation often began not with sound, but with stillness and a waiting breath. His hand, once eager to summon lightning, now rested softly, as though guarding an unseen flame. He began to feel that his role was not only to command, but to prepare for something greater. Whispers spread across Olympus, carried by winds and woven into dreams that gods could not ignore. They spoke of a birth unlike any before, a presence that would reshape destiny itself. Zeus carried this mystery within, a secret stirring in his very being, radiant yet concealed. The mountains bowed, the rivers slowed, the skies shimmered with an expectation beyond words. It was as if the universe itself leaned closer, waiting for the unveiling of its hidden song. Zeus walked among the halls of Olympus, steady, but with an air of quiet transformation. His voice grew gentler, his gaze more distant, as though he saw further than the present moment. He no longer seemed only a king of storms, but a guardian of something yet unborn. Even his thunder grew softer, rolling like distant drums instead of crashing with endless might. For Zeus understood that his reign was about to be shared with a force of another kind. Not a rival, but a companion in purpose. One that could bring balance to his power. The heavens waited, the gods listened, and the world below braced for the unseen future. Zeus himself carried the mystery like a crown, knowing that destiny had chosen him as vessel. And so, though the skies were calm, though the halls of Olympus shone with light, change was near. A new story was preparing to rise, and in its heart, Zeus would stand as both father and witness. The world had seen the power of storms, but soon it would know the brilliance of wisdom. And Zeus, the king of gods, stood ready to open the path for what was yet to come. The air on Olympus grew heavy with wonder, for a prophecy lingered in the hearts of the divine. It was not a prophecy of storms, nor of fire, but of wisdom born from light and destiny. Long ago, whispers told of a child whose presence would bring clarity where confusion once lived. This child would guide both gods and mortals, offering balance beyond the reach of mere power. The prophecy spoke not of destruction, but of renewal, a dawn of harmony across heaven and earth. It promised a spirit of reason, one who could weave justice into the very fabric of life. For too long, strength had ruled the world, leaving wisdom to drift like a forgotten echo. But change was near, and the stars themselves seemed to shimmer with restless anticipation. The gods gathered often in quiet corners, speaking softly of signs they could no longer ignore. Some feared what was foretold, for prophecy often carried the weight of uncertainty and change. Yet others felt hope, believing that destiny would gift Olympus with a light unlike any before. The message spread from voice to voice, like wind carrying secrets through the halls of eternity. Even the muses sang hints of the story, weaving verses that hinted at a future unborn. Their songs filled the air with sweetness, stirring dreams of wisdom wrapped in golden light. On earth, mortals too dreamed strange dreams, though they could not name what they felt. They saw visions of a woman, radiant and strong, who offered calm amid their struggles. To farmers, she brought patience. To leaders, she brought fairness. To artists, she brought inspiration. The prophecy lived not only in Olympus, but in the hearts of humankind, longing for guidance. Zeus carried these whispers close, though he spoke of them rarely, guarding them like sacred fire. He remembered each word, each image, each promise carved into the story of what was to come. It was said the child would not arrive through ordinary birth, but through divine wonder. A birth written not in pain, but in brilliance, not in darkness, but in celestial light. Such mysteries puzzled even the gods, who could shape mountains yet not predict all of fate. For prophecy, once spoken, moved beyond even their control, tied only to the will of time. Still, Zeus felt its truth like thunder before rain, a certainty echoing in his immortal heart. He began to prepare himself in silence, though no one knew what form that preparation would take. At night, he would gaze across Olympus, his thoughts carrying him beyond the stars themselves. In those moments, he was not king, not ruler, but a soul waiting for destiny's arrival. And the prophecy glowed brighter with each day, as though the universe itself drew closer. Some gods watched nervously, wondering if this child might one day rise above them all. Others prayed for the promise to be real, eager for wisdom to guide their immortal world. The balance between hope and fear stretched like a string, trembling with every passing moment. Every sound, every shift in the air, seemed to carry hints of what was soon to be. It was as if Olympus itself was holding its breath, waiting for the unseen truth to unfold. Prophecies often carried riddles, yet this one was clear. Wisdom would be born from Zeus himself. The thought stirred questions none dared to speak. For how could such a birth even be? But prophecy does not answer questions. It only waits to be fulfilled in its own time. So the gods watched, mortals dreamed, and Zeus stood in silence, bearing the weight of fate. The heavens shimmered softly, the earth hummed gently, the seas whispered secrets to the shore. All of creation seemed to lean toward the moment when prophecy would meet reality. And in that leaning, a story deeper than thunder began to take its place in history. The prophecy of wisdom was no longer a tale, but the spark of Athena's approaching dawn. One night, as the stars cast their silver glow, Zeus lay in deep slumber upon his golden throne. The halls of Olympus were silent, yet his mind stirred with visions brighter than dawn itself. In his dream, a light appeared, not fierce like fire, but radiant, warm, and endlessly pure. It shone brighter than the sun, yet it did not burn. Instead, it filled his heart with calm. From this light came images, floating softly like clouds, carrying symbols older than time. He saw olive branches bending in the wind, their leaves shimmering with wisdom untold. He saw a city standing tall, its people united, guided by justice and harmony. He saw threads of golden fabric woven into patterns too perfect for mortal hands. Every vision whispered of balance, of strength wrapped in reason, of power softened by care. The dream deepened, and he found himself walking among endless scrolls of knowledge. Each scroll glowed, its letters alive, telling stories of art, science, and truth yet to be known. And there, in the center of the dream, stood a figure radiant and serene beyond description. She was tall, adorned in a simple robe, yet her presence carried the weight of eternity. Her eyes reflected both the sky and the earth. Wisdom and courage blended into one. Zeus felt no fear before her, only reverence, as though she was both child and teacher. She raised her hand, and where her fingers moved, harmony spread like ripples across the air. No thunder rolled, no storm struck, only peace lingered, steady as the heartbeat of creation. When she spoke, her voice was gentle yet firm, like water carving stone with patient strength. Father of gods, guardian of order, I am the promise that has long been whispered. Her words echoed not in sound, but in spirit, flowing into Zeus like light into crystal. I am wisdom born of your will, your longing for balance, your vision beyond power. You have ruled with strength, yet now the world seeks a new gift, clarity and reason. Zeus listened in awe, for her words matched the prophecy carried across time and space. She was not yet born, yet already she existed, both dream and truth in perfect harmony. The dream shifted, showing him mortals smiling beneath olive trees, heavy with fruit. He saw leaders guided by fairness, artists weaving stories, inventors shaping wonders unseen. He saw war silenced by strategy, not violence, and cities rising in peace rather than ruin. The Ha's vision was not of command, but of guidance, not of fear, but of inspiration. The radiant figure looked into Zeus's eyes, her gaze as steady as the stars themselves. You carry me within, Father, though I wait for the moment to step into the world. Her words rang like prophecy fulfilled, a truth undeniable, stronger than any thunderbolt. Zeus reached for her, but she faded into the golden light, leaving calm in her wake. The dream dissolved into silence, yet its memory burned brighter than lightning in his soul. When he awoke, The halls of Olympus still glowed faintly, as if touched by her presence. His heart carried the certainty that what he had seen was not illusion, but destiny. The gods noticed a change in Zeus, for his eyes now carried both wonder and resolve. He spoke little, but his silence was filled with meaning, heavy with the weight of vision. No storm rose from him that day, only a quiet strength, steady and unshakable. For Zeus had seen the face of wisdom, and he knew her time was drawing near. The dream had spoken, and its promise echoed through heaven, earth, and every whispering wind. Thus, the prophecy moved closer to its truth, carried by visions from the heart of Zeus. And in those visions, the world caught its first glimpse of the goddess soon to be born. The morning after Zeus's dream, Olympus shimmered brighter, as if the skies themselves shared his secret vision. The air was calm, yet beneath the calm, a current of change flowed, unseen but deeply felt by all. The other gods gathered in the golden halls, sensing that something profound stirred within their king. Hera, ever observant, noticed his silence and the glow of thought behind his steady gaze. Apollo played his lyre, yet his music softened, matching the quiet wonder in Zeus's eyes. Athena's birth had not yet come, but whispers of destiny moved like wind through the heavens. The gods exchanged glances, each wondering what mystery carried such weight within the father of Olympus. Zeus spoke little, but his words when spoken carried new patience, wisdom wrapped in calm. He looked upon the earth, watching mortals build, sow, and dream beneath the wide blue sky. He saw them striving, stumbling, yet rising again, their courage as steady as the sea's tide. And in their struggle, he saw the need for guidance greater than strength alone could provide. For what good was power, he thought, without the wisdom to use it with care and purpose? The dream still lingered, its figure of light echoing in his heart like a gentle song. He knew her time was close, and with it, the promise of balance between might and mind. The heavens seemed to prepare as well, stars aligning in patterns unfamiliar, yet deeply meaningful. The olive tree, sacred and silent, grew taller upon the slopes of Olympus overnight. Its leaves shimmered in the morning sun, as though touched by unseen hands of destiny. The gods spoke of omens, yet none could name the truth except Zeus, who held it quietly. He carried the dream like a flame, hidden but unextinguished, steady in the winds of time. One evening, he climbed to the highest peak, where sky and earth met in silence. There he gazed at the horizon, where the sun sank into the sea, blazing with promise. He raised his hand, not to summon storms, but to feel the quiet strength of creation. The world needed more than thunder, he thought. It needed wisdom to endure and to grow. He closed his eyes, and once again the vision returned, softer yet clearer than before. The radiant figure appeared, olive crown upon her brow, her presence steady and kind. "You wait for me," she said, her voice flowing like water, cool yet endlessly strong. Zeus bowed his head, not in weakness, but in recognition of truth greater than himself. "Yes," he whispered. "The world longs for you, for your light, your reason, your care." Her smile was like dawn, tender yet powerful, carrying the promise of renewal for all. "Then wait a little longer, Father," she said, "for soon I shall step into the world." The vision faded, yet his heart remained calm, certain that the prophecy would soon unfold. The gods noticed his peace, and though they did not know why, they trusted his silence. Hermes, ever curious, asked of the future, but Zeus only smiled and said, "It comes." And so the days passed, golden and quiet, each one carrying the rhythm of expectation. The earth thrived. Mortals grew wiser in small ways, preparing unknowingly for her arrival. And in Olympus, the halls gleamed brighter, as though waiting for a guest not yet seen. The prophecy breathed in every breeze, whispered through every leaf, and echoed in every star. Zeus carried it still, hidden within, until the day destiny would break its silence. For the birth of wisdom was near, and the world was ready for the goddess to come. The days on Olympus unfolded with golden calm, yet within Zeus a quiet weight began to grow. It was not fear nor anger, but a deep stirring, as if destiny itself pressed from within. He walked among the marble halls, his steps strong, yet his thoughts carried far beyond the clouds. The dream's figure, radiant and serene, lingered in his heart like a melody never forgotten. Each moment he felt her presence closer, as though she waited at the threshold of life. The gods noticed changes in him, subtle but clear, like ripples across a still pond. He spoke less of storms and thunder, more of patience, guidance, and the harmony of order. Hera, wise and watchful, asked him gently what truth he carried so silently in his soul. But Zeus only smiled, knowing her time had not yet come, and destiny must reveal itself. The stir within him deepened, sometimes a spark, sometimes a steady flame, shaping his every thought. He began to dream even while awake, visions flashing across his mind like lightning without sound. He saw cities yet unbuilt, their walls strong not from stone alone, but from wisdom's design. He saw leaders rising, not with swords, but with reason, guiding with fairness instead of fear. He saw olive branches offered in peace, binding hearts stronger than chains of iron or gold. And always, in each vision, the figure of light appeared, calm, steady, and full of promise. Her eyes reminded him of both earth's soil and heaven's sky, merging strength with understanding. She was not born, yet already alive, carried within him as a secret waiting to awaken. Zeus began to feel a strange pressure, not pain, but the weight of creation held inside. It was as though the universe had chosen him to bear the spark of something eternal. He stood on the peaks of Olympus, wind rushing past, stars glittering above like silent witnesses. The heavens themselves seemed to lean closer, as though awaiting the unfolding of sacred truth. The other gods whispered of omens, for even the air felt charged with unseen expectancy. Apollo's songs carried softer tones, Hermes paused in his laughter, and Hera gazed long in thought. Even Poseidon, restless as the sea, stood calm, sensing that destiny approached in quiet steps. Zeus carried on with patience, though within, the flame of destiny grew brighter each passing day. Sometimes in silence, he placed his hand upon his brow, feeling the pulse of life within. A golden warmth spread through him, not burning, but steady and strong, like an eternal fire. He did not speak of it, for he knew words could not yet hold such vast truth. Instead, he carried it in silence, waiting for the moment when vision would become reality. The gods around him grew more watchful, their eyes reflecting the mystery of what was to come. They trusted their king, yet even they could not see the full weight of what he bore. Zeus's heart was calm, for he understood that destiny does not rush, but unfolds with care. And in that unfolding, the promise of wisdom grew nearer, as close as breath to life. The olive trees swayed more gently, their leaves whispering like voices of unseen spirits in the wind. The stars formed patterns unknown, constellations hinting at stories not yet told to mortal ears. And in the stillness of night, the world seemed to pause, as if holding its breath. Zeus lifted his gaze to the heavens, silent yet certain, for he knew the moment approached. The visions, the dreams, the stir within, all pointed to one truth he could no longer deny. The time of wisdom's birth drew close, and with it, the dawn of a goddess awaited. Thus, destiny's thread tightened, weaving closer to its revelation, unseen yet unstoppable in its course. And Olympus itself seemed to stand taller, prepared to welcome the light soon to arrive. The days turned into weeks, and though Olympus stood timeless, change was moving like an unseen tide. Zeus carried himself with calm authority, but within, the stir of destiny grew ever more insistent. It was as though a song played softly inside him, a melody only he could hear. Each note was steady, bright, and full of meaning, echoing the promise of what was to come. The gods watched him closely, sensing the quiet strength rising from their king's silent composure. Hera asked again of the secret he bore, yet Zeus gave no answer beyond a knowing smile. Apollo sang of omens in his verses, while Hermes whispered guesses to the winds of Olympus. Poseidon stirred the seas, uneasy with mystery, but even his waves calmed near the throne of Zeus. The air itself seemed filled with expectancy, as if the universe awaited the unfolding of truth. Mortals on earth, unaware of divine secrets, looked to the skies and felt a strange serenity. The seasons passed more gently, crops flourished, and olive trees bent heavy with abundant fruit. It was as though the world itself prepared for a gift yet unseen, but deeply needed. Meanwhile, Zeus's mind remained steady, though the visions returned brighter with each passing night. He dreamed again of the radiant figure, her eyes calm, her presence strong as eternal flame. "You carry me still," she said, her voice echoing like rivers flowing softly across the land. "Yes," Zeus replied in silence. "You are near, closer now than ever before." Her form shimmered, not yet solid like dawnlight before sunrise, real yet not fully born. "Soon," she whispered, "the time will come when I step into the world of gods and men." Zeus awoke from the dream, his heart steady, yet his body carried the weight of creation. The golden halls of Olympus echoed with stillness, the kind that precedes a moment of truth. The other gods felt it too, a tightening thread of destiny pulling them toward revelation. They did not know what form it would take, but they trusted in Zeus's quiet strength. For when a king holds silence with such certainty, even gods pause and wait in reverence. Zeus walked often to the heights of Olympus, gazing across earth and sky in reflection. He no longer thought of storms or conquest, but of balance, justice, and the harmony of order. He saw in his mind the figure of wisdom standing beside him, guiding both gods and mortals. Her light was not meant to command, but to inspire, not to destroy, but to build. And in that light, he saw hope. Hope for a world shaped not by fear, but by reason. The vision filled him with calm certainty, even as the stirring within grew stronger each day. It was no longer just a dream, but a truth pressing closer, ready to step into being. The gods spoke quietly among themselves, their voices hushed, their eyes bright with anticipation. Even the stars above seemed to shift, weaving patterns of prophecy across the velvet night sky. The olive tree on Olympus glowed faintly at twilight, its leaves shimmering with golden light. Mortals below told tales of a coming age, guided not by strength, but by divine wisdom. They did not know her name, yet their hearts longed for the presence that was soon to arrive. And so destiny's thread pulled tighter, weaving earth and heaven closer with every passing moment. Zeus bore it all with patience, for he knew the time of unveiling could not be rushed. The universe moves with its own rhythm, and even kings of gods must walk in its timing. Thus, the days passed, each one brighter, each one carrying the quiet drumbeat of coming change. And in the heart of Olympus, the birth of wisdom drew nearer, steady as dawn after night. The quiet expectancy on Olympus deepened, like the still air before the dawn of a radiant morning. Zeus felt the rhythm of destiny stronger, each moment pressing closer to an unfolding revelation. It was no longer only a dream, but a truth stirring within, ready to take shape. He carried it with calm, though the gods saw a glow upon his brow, bright as fire. They whispered among themselves, wondering what force could move their king with such silent power. Hera, watchful as ever, sensed the nearness of change, but chose patience instead of demanding answers. Apollo sang quieter songs, his music woven with mystery, echoing whispers of wisdom yet to come. Even Hermes slowed his restless feet, listening for signs in the wind that carried destiny's thread. The olive tree on Olympus grew taller still, its roots deepening, its leaves shining at twilight. Mortals below told stories by firelight, dreaming of justice and guidance from gods above. They could not name it, yet their hearts stirred with longing for clarity and peace. Zeus often gazed upon them, seeing their courage, their mistakes, their hunger for understanding. He thought of the figure in his visions, the promise of wisdom that would guide them. Her presence felt closer each day, like the first light of dawn rising behind distant hills. At night, Zeus dreamed once more, and she appeared, her radiance steady, her voice like truth. "Father," she said, "the moment draws near, for wisdom must walk where strength has long stood." Zeus bowed his head in reverence, not as king, but as guardian of what was to come. "Yes," he answered softly, "the world awaits you, though it does not yet know your name." Her eyes shone with calm certainty, carrying both the tenderness of care and the weight of destiny. "Then soon," she replied, "I will step into life, not as storm, but as light." The dream dissolved, leaving Zeus with peace, though the stir within him now grew stronger. It was as if the very cosmos pressed forward, urging the fulfillment of timeless prophecy. The gods began to sense it too, the pulse of creation moving through Olympus's marble halls. They gathered in silence, not to question, but to wait for the moment to reveal itself. The heavens shimmered brighter, constellations shifting into new patterns unseen in ages past. The moon glowed softer, the stars burned clearer, and the winds carried whispers of renewal. Zeus stood at the highest peak, the sky open above, the earth stretching endlessly below. He lifted his gaze, and in the silence felt the universe aligning with his vision. The stirring within was no longer subtle, it was powerful, steady, undeniable as the sun. It carried warmth and weight, yet not of burden, but of creation waiting to be born. He placed his hand upon his brow, feeling the golden glow spreading through his very being. It was not pain, but pressure, a fullness that spoke of destiny breaking through the veil. The gods who watched saw his composure, the calm strength of one who bore a secret flame. They did not tremble, but they waited, reverent and still, knowing history was near its turning. The olive tree swayed in the wind, its leaves whispering like voices of unseen spirits. Mortals dreamed of wisdom, of guidance, of hope rising like dawn across their troubled lives. The earth, the heavens, and Olympus itself seemed bound together in a single shared breath. And at the center of it all stood Zeus, calm yet resolute, bearing the promise within. The time was near, the veil between dream and life thinning with every heartbeat of creation. Destiny could no longer be delayed, for wisdom's birth was written into the fabric of eternity. And soon, the goddess of wisdom would step forth, her light changing the world forever. The days of waiting reached their peak, and Olympus glowed as if lit from within by quiet fire. Zeus walked the marble halls with steady grace, though his steps carried the weight of unfolding destiny. The other gods followed at a distance, their voices hushed, their eyes bright with silent expectation. It was clear to all that something great was near, though its form remained cloaked in mystery. The sky above Olympus shimmered brighter each night, stars shifting like patterns drawn by divine hands. The moon glowed with silver calm, as if preparing the heavens for a new guiding light. Mortals gazed upward and told tales of change, though they knew not the name of what they felt. They spoke of justice rising, of wisdom descending, of harmony walking the path of mortal lives. Zeus felt their prayers reach him like whispers carried on the wind, soft but filled with longing. The vision of the radiant figure returned again, clearer than ever before, her voice calm and firm. "Father," she said, "the veil grows thin, and I am ready to take my place in the world." Zeus's heart lifted, filled with both tenderness and awe at the destiny carried within him. He placed his hand upon his brow, the golden glow now shining brighter than the midday sun. It was not burden, but fulfillment, the release of a promise sealed since the dawn of time. The gods gathered in the great hall, their thrones shining, their faces lit with curiosity and wonder. Hera, proud yet calm, looked upon Zeus with a gaze that spoke of patience and respect. Apollo strummed his lyre, his music a hymn of birth and renewal, gentle as springtime rain. Hermes stood silent, his restless nature still for once, his eyes fixed on the king of gods. Poseidon, steady as the sea's deep tides, crossed his arms and watched with reverent anticipation. The olive tree outside the hall swayed gently, though no wind touched its silver leaves. Its branches glowed faintly, as if it too felt the pulse of creation in the air. Zeus closed his eyes and breathed deeply, his voice rising within, a harmony with the cosmos. The stirring inside him grew stronger, no longer dream or vision, but reality pressing to emerge. The air shimmered around him, golden light spilling forth like dawn, breaking across eternal night. The gods gasped softly, not in fear but in awe, for they felt the power of destiny. It was not thunder that shook the hall, but a hum like music woven from starlight itself. The glow from Zeus's brow spread, filling Olympus with warmth, bright but gentle as morning sun. From that light, a shape began to form, clear and radiant, a presence stepping forth from eternity. She emerged in silence, her eyes calm, her form strong, her spirit brighter than the flame of day. The goddess of wisdom stood revealed, clothed in radiance, her beauty serene, her power unshakable. Athena was born, not from pain, but from light, not from force, but from the harmony of truth. The hall of Olympus fell silent, the gods bowing their heads in reverence to her presence. Zeus opened his eyes and beheld her, his heart filled with pride, love, and divine peace. She looked upon him and spoke, her voice clear as rivers, steady as the eternal stars. "Father," she said, "I am here to walk among gods and mortals, to guide with wisdom." Her words rang true, her presence a gift, not only to Olympus, but to all creation. Apollo's lyre sang brighter, Hermes smiled softly, Poseidon bowed, and Hera's eyes glowed with quiet approval. The olive tree shone with golden fire, its branches stretching as if to welcome its patroness. Mortals far below felt her presence too. Their hearts stirred, their dreams filled with light and clarity. The world changed in that moment as wisdom walked forth into life, forever altering heaven and earth. Zeus stood tall, his promise fulfilled, his spirit calm, for the dawn of Athena had come. And in her birth, balance was restored, strength joined with wisdom, and hope shone across eternity. The light of Athena's birth still shimmered through Olympus, a glow that neither faded nor dimmed with time. The gods marveled at her presence, each one sensing the calm authority that radiated from her being. She stood tall, serene, her gaze steady, carrying wisdom beyond measure, yet gentle as the morning breeze. Zeus regarded her with pride, for in her he saw both strength and balance perfectly entwined. Hera studied her quietly, recognizing not a rival, but a harmony that the world sorely needed. Apollo strummed his lyre, weaving songs of foresight, praising the goddess who brought clarity to thought. Hermes bowed slightly, his clever eyes sparkling with respect for one who could match his wit. Poseidon rumbled with laughter, declaring Athena a force to steady even the restless tides of seas. The olive tree upon Olympus flourished, its branches heavy with fruit, its silver leaves shining brighter. Athena walked among the gods, her steps light, her presence lifting the air with subtle grace. She spoke little, yet her words carried weight, each one a seed of wisdom planted in hearts. "Strength builds," she said softly, "but wisdom guides strength, lest it fall upon itself in ruin." Her voice was calm, but her truth rang louder than storms, steady as eternal flame. The gods listened, and for once even Ares, restless spirit of war, fell silent in thought. The harmony of Olympus grew deeper, a balance restored as if the heavens breathed in relief. Zeus watched closely, knowing Athena's light was not his alone, but a gift for all creation. She descended from Olympus one dawn, her radiance stretching across the lands of mortal men. Villages stirred, farmers paused, and poets lifted their eyes, for something unseen stirred in their souls. She walked unseen yet felt, a guardian spirit shaping thoughts, guiding choices, steadying trembling hearts. An old man gazed upon his fields and found clarity, planting olive trees for future generations. A young woman dreamed of a city built not on fear, but on wisdom and justice. Children laughed beneath the sky, their play inspired by courage, fairness, and quiet understanding. Athena's touch was not force, but guidance. Subtle as wind shaping stone, gentle as rivers carving earth. She carried no sword in these moments, but a shield of wisdom, unseen yet unshakable. Mortals told stories of a presence in their dreams, a goddess of light who whispered truth. The tales spread, weaving into song and poetry, carried by travelers across seas and mountains. Athena returned to Olympus, her work below quiet but enduring, her presence etched in mortal hearts. The gods welcomed her, recognizing her gift as one that bound heaven and earth more tightly. Zeus embraced her with words unspoken, his pride resting in the calm strength she carried. Apollo sang of her deeds in riddles. Hermes smiled knowingly. Hera's eyes glowed with approval. The olive tree bent heavy with fruit, its roots deeper, its branches stretching toward mortal lands. Athena stood at the threshold of Olympus, gazing outward with calm, her mission only beginning. For wisdom was not a single act, but a guiding light, eternal and ever unfolding. She knew her path would shape cities, inspire laws, and steady kings when storms rose high. She foresaw temples built in her honor, not for her glory, but for what she gave. Her gift was not fear, but clarity, not command, but guidance, not conquest, but truth. and as she lifted her eyes to the stars, the cosmos itself seemed to shine brighter. The birth of Athena was not the end, but the dawn of a new harmony for all. Olympus stood stronger, mortals dreamed clearer, and the threads of destiny wove tighter than ever. Thus began her journey, a story that would ripple across time, eternal as wisdom itself. The story of Athena's birth carried through Olympus like a melody, woven into the rhythm of eternity. Her light did not fade, for wisdom is not a passing flame, but a steady fire that endures. Zeus stood taller, his promise fulfilled, yet humbled by the gift he had carried into being. The gods felt a new harmony among them, a balance that settled the heavens with gentle calm. Hera's watchful eyes softened, seeing not rivalry, but renewal, a force that strengthened all of Olympus. Apollo's songs grew richer, each note singing of clarity, of truth, of futures shaped by wisdom. Hermes smiled, his restless energy now tempered by the presence of one who matched his mind. Poseidon looked to the seas and saw their tides steadied, their fury balanced by divine guidance. Even Ares, spirit of war, paused to consider, as wisdom began to temper the fire of battle. The olive tree upon Olympus flourished brighter than ever, its silver leaves shining with sacred promise. It became a symbol not of force, but of peace, of endurance, of prosperity born through balance. Athena herself walked with calm dignity, her words measured, her gaze steady, her heart open. She carried strength, but never for herself, always for justice, for learning, for the greater harmony. Mortals began to dream brighter dreams, their thoughts touched by the clarity of her unseen hand. Farmers worked their fields with hope, poets spoke with truth, and leaders learned to listen more deeply. She inspired visions of cities built not on fear, but on justice, fairness, and shared wisdom. One day mortals would raise walls of marble and call upon her name to guide their lives. They would build temples in her honor, not out of fear, but gratitude for the light she gave. The olive tree would become her symbol, a gift of peace, endurance, and prosperity for generations. Athena looked upon these futures with calm, for she knew wisdom grows slowly, but forever. Her presence was not thunderous, but steady, like a river carving valleys through patience and time. Zeus, watching her, knew that the world had entered a new age, guided by more than power. Strength alone could shape mountains, but wisdom could shape hearts, and hearts built the path of destiny. The gods returned to their realms, yet carried her influence with them, altering their choices subtly. Even the stars above seemed to shine differently, their patterns brighter, their movements smoother across the sky. Olympus itself felt renewed, its marble halls warmer, its air filled with serenity rather than pride. Athena had not only been born, but had become a bridge, joining the divine with the mortal. Her story spread in whispers across the earth, shaping myths, shaping dreams, shaping the future of men. And though centuries would pass, her name would remain, carved into memory like light into dawn. The poets would sing of her, the builders would honor her, and the warriors would call for her. But more than all, the seekers of truth would find her in the silence of thought, in clarity. She was not only a goddess of war or of craft, but of wisdom, justice, and understanding. Her legacy would not end in Olympus, but would live in every city built in her honor. She would walk not only among gods, but in the hearts of mortals seeking light in the dark. And so, the tale closes not with an end, but a beginning, for wisdom never truly ends. The birth of Athena was not a single moment, but a dawn, eternal and ever unfolding. The world turned, mortals lived and dreamed, and the goddess of wisdom stood watch over all. Her light remains, gentle yet unyielding, steady as the olive tree that still whispers in the wind. Thus ends the story of her birth, yet her presence carries on, eternal as truth itself.